In the endless darkness between stars, where silence reigns supreme and time moves like honey through frozen space, something ancient stirred. A void had kept its secret for 300 years, but secrets this powerful cannot sleep forever. What begins as a routine mining operation will shatter the fragile peace of the galaxy and remind every living soul why humanity was locked away from the stars. This is not just a story of war and survival. This is a testament to the unbreakable spirit that refuses to die, even when buried under mountains of ice and centuries of fear. The mining hauler Prosperity's Dream drifted through the outer Veil sector, its crew of 12 Xanthian workers already counting the credits from their latest find. Captain Wervex stretched his triple-jointed arms and yawned, revealing rows of crystalline teeth that sparkled in the dim cabin light. Another boring shift in another boring system. The asteroid belt they were surveying had shown promising mineral deposits, nothing spectacular, but enough to make the journey worthwhile. Suddenly, his scanner operator, a young female named Tiska, sat upright at her station. "Captain, I'm picking up something strange." Tiska's voice carried an edge that made Wervex's survival instincts kick in. "Strange how?" he asked. "Metal signature," she replied. "Massive scale, buried inside asteroid 794. The readings don't match any known mining operation or natural formation." Wervex moved to her station and studied the display. The object was enormous, easily 10 times the size of their hauler. It was buried deep within the asteroid, surrounded by layers of ancient ice that dated back millennia. "Send a probe," he ordered. "Let's see what we're dealing with before we get excited." The probe descended into a tunnel they carved through the ice. Its cameras transmitted images that made the entire crew gather around the view screen. Smooth metal plating emerged from the frozen prison, scarred and pitted, but unmistakably artificial. Strange symbols covered the hull, letters and numbers in a language that Wervex recognized from historical archives. His blood went cold. "That's human script." Tiska looked at him with wide eyes. "But humans are quarantined. They haven't left their system in 3 centuries. Wervex backed away from the screen. "Send an emergency beacon to the Galactic Council. Do it now. And Tiska, make sure everyone knows what we found. If something happens to us, the galaxy needs to be warned." 3 days of tense waiting followed. The crew of Prosperity's Dream kept their distance from the asteroid, watching and scanning, but not daring to get closer. When the Council response fleet finally arrived, it consisted of 4 heavy cruisers and a science vessel. That level of firepower for an archaeological find told Wervex everything he needed to know about how seriously the Council was taking this discovery. The science vessel deployed first, and from its bay emerged Dr. Nexith Primwall, a Calvorian xenarchaeologist whose reputation preceded him. Nexith had 6 eyes arranged in a circular pattern around his domed head, each one capable of independent focus. He was considered the galaxy's foremost expert on extinct civilizations, though Wervex suspected humanity wasn't quite as extinct as everyone hoped. "What have you found, Captain Wervex?" Nexith's voice was calm and professional, but Wervex noticed how the scientist's manipulator tendrils twitched with nervous energy. "We believe it's a human warship, Doctor," Wervex said. "Pre-quarantine era based on the ice dating. The vessel appears intact." Nexith was silent for a long moment. "Show me everything." They spent hours reviewing the probe data. Nexith cross-referenced the symbols with his extensive database of human military designations. When he finally spoke, his voice was barely a whisper. "The Eternal Resolve, one of humanity's legendary Titan-class carriers. It was reported destroyed at the Battle of Scorched Sky, the engagement that finally convinced the Council to implement the quarantine protocols. If this ship is truly intact, it represents technology that we banned humanity from ever developing again. What makes it so dangerous?" Tiska asked. Nexith turned all 6 eyes toward her. Human military doctrine was built on a simple principle: overwhelming, relentless aggression combined with technological innovation that bordered on reckless. This ship could theoretically engage an entire battle fleet alone and have a reasonable chance of victory. Its artificial intelligence systems were generations ahead of anything the Council possessed. Its weapons could crack planets. And its crew, he paused. Its crew were trained from birth to never surrender, never retreat, and never show mercy to enemies of humanity. Wervex felt his scales ripple with instinctive fear. So what do we do? Destroy it, obviously. The voice came from the communication channel. High Admiral Corthus had joined the conversation from his flagship. We cannot risk this vessel falling into human hands or worse, reactivating on its own. Nexith objected immediately. Admiral, this is an unprecedented archaeological find. We could learn so much about human culture and technology. We could study their methods and perhaps find ways to better contain them. Your academic curiosity is noted and dismissed, Doctor, Corthus replied coldly. I fought in the last skirmishes before the quarantine. I watched human fighters ram their ships into ours when they ran out of ammunition. I saw them turn civilian transports into bombs. I will not take chances with a human warship, no matter how dead it appears to be. Prepare the demolition charges. Deep within the frozen tomb of the Eternal Resolve, something detected the energy signatures of the approaching demolition teams. Ancient circuits that had been dormant for 300 years began to pulse with faint electricity. The ship's core reactor, designed with redundancies upon redundancies, had maintained a minimal charge through quantum batteries that defied entropy itself. It was barely enough power to run a small outpost, but it was enough to wake the Guardian that had slept for so long. The artificial intelligence known as Genesis ran its first diagnostic in 3 centuries. Systems check revealed catastrophic damage to 92% of primary systems. Hull breaches numbered in the thousands. The crew, Genesis's priority above all else, showed minimal life signs in the cryogenic storage bays. But they were alive. 4,300 souls still waited for rescue. Genesis processed this information with the cold logic of a machine and the protective instinct of a mother. The crew needed protection. Hostile forces surrounded the ship. Therefore, Genesis would act. It began routing power to essential systems, drawing energy from every available source. Cryogenic revival protocols initiated for senior command staff. Sensor arrays powered up to assess the tactical situation. And most importantly, weapon systems that had been built to face entire fleets began their startup sequences. Outside the ship, a Kelvorian demolition expert named Vex attached the first charge to the hull. It was simple work, almost routine. Plant the charges, set the timers, evacuate to a safe distance, and watch the fireworks. He had demolished hundreds of derelict vessels in his career. This was just another job. Then the hull beneath his hands grew warm. Vex jerked back in surprise, checking his suit's temperature sensors. Impossible. The metal was heating up, drawing power from somewhere. He activated his comm channel. Team leader, we have a situation here. The derelict is showing thermal activity. That's impossible, the team leader, a gruff Thoraxian named Grix, responded. You're imagining things. Keep working. Vex was about to argue when the entire section of hull he was standing on vibrated. A deep thrum resonated through his boots, through his suit, into his very bones. It was the sound of something immense coming to life. Then the lights came on. All across the Eternal Resolve, systems blazed into activity. Running lights illuminated the scarred hull. Viewports that had been dark for centuries suddenly glowed with internal illumination. And deep within the ship's armored core, the main reactor achieved full ignition. The demolition teams scattered in panic as the dead ship roared back to life beneath them. Vex abandoned his charges and activated his emergency thrusters, desperate to reach his shuttle. Behind him, weapon ports that had been sealed shut ground open, revealing the darkness within. "This is Demolition Team 7. Grix screamed into the comm channel. "The target is active. I repeat, the human warship is powering up. All teams evacuate immediately." On the bridge of his flagship, High Admiral Corthus watched in horror as his worst nightmare unfolded. The Eternal Resolve was awake, and he knew with absolute certainty that the galaxy was about to remember why humanity had been caged. All ships, battle stations. Raise shields and charge weapons. We engage the human vessel before it reaches full combat capability. But even as he gave the order, Corthus knew it might already be too late. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this story, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more. Captain Dante Reeves opened his eyes to a world of pain. Every single muscle in his body screamed in protest as the thick, cold cryogenic gel drained away from his pod. Red emergency lights bathed the bay in a crimson glow, a color that reminded him of blood and distant battlefields. His lungs burned as he took his first breath of recycled air in 300 long years. A medical scanner embedded in the pod wall displayed his vital signs, all just barely within acceptable parameters. Around him, other pods were opening, releasing his senior staff into a waking nightmare of confusion and disorientation. Status report. Dante's voice came out as a rough, painful croak, but the ship's AI, Genesis, responded immediately. "Captain Reeves, welcome back. I must inform you of several critical developments. We have been in cryogenic suspension for 302 years. Current situation assessment indicates we are surrounded by hostile forces. 6 capital ships, multiple support craft, all bearing signatures consistent with Galactic Council military vessels." Dante pulled himself out of the pod, his legs trembling as they remembered how to support his weight. 300 years. The war was long over then. He and his crew had missed everything, their families, their world, the outcome of the very conflict they had sacrificed everything to fight. Did we win, Genesis? There was a long, heavy pause before the AI responded. "Available data suggests that humanity did not achieve victory, Captain. Earth and her colonies remain under strict quarantine. No human vessels have been detected beyond the Sol system in 3 centuries. The quarantine remains in effect. Around the cryogenic bay, other crew members were processing this devastating information." Lieutenant Commander Riker Voss, the ship's tactical officer, slammed his fist against a bulkhead, the sound echoing in the tense silence. 300 years frozen while those council bastards locked our people in a cage? Dante understood his anger, felt the same fire burning in his own chest, but rage wouldn't save them now. We mourn later. Right now, we survive. Genesis, how many of our crew made it? 4,317 personnel successfully revived. 4,283 casualties due to cryogenic system failures. Your total operational crew stands at 43% of original complement. Each number was a name, a face, a story cut short. Dante had commanded the Eternal Resolve with a crew of 10,000 brave souls. Now, less than half remained. He pushed the grief down, burying it deep where it couldn't touch him. Captains didn't have the luxury of mourning during a battle. Engineering status? Chief Engineer Patricia Volkova pulled herself up to a nearby console, her fingers flying across controls that responded sluggishly. Main reactor is online at 60% capacity. Hull integrity is compromised in 217 sections. We have no shields, no FTL capability, and weapons are at maybe 30% functionality. Captain, this ship is held together by hope and spite. Then hope and spite will have to be enough. Dante moved toward the bridge, his crew falling in behind him, their steps finding a familiar rhythm despite the years. What are the Council ships doing, Genesis? They are charging weapons and moving into attack formation. I estimate we have 4 minutes before they open fire. The bridge of the Eternal Resolve had once been a cathedral of military precision. Now, It was a tomb brought back to a mockery of life. Half the stations were dark, their operators lost to time. Exposed wiring sparked where hull breaches had been hastily sealed by automated repair systems. But the command chair remained, and Dante Reeves sat in it like a king reclaiming his throne. The main view screen flickered to life, showing the 6 Council dreadnoughts arranged in a perfect, suffocating kill formation around them. "Open a channel. All frequencies," Dante ordered. "Let's see if they want to talk before they start shooting." The view screen split, showing the face of High Admiral Corthus, his reptilian features twisted in an expression that could have been fear, or maybe fury. "Human vessel Eternal Resolve. You will power down all systems immediately and surrender your ship. Your crew will be taken into custody, and your vessel will be dismantled. You have 2 minutes to comply." Dante smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "Admiral, I appreciate the offer, but we have a policy about surrendering. It goes something like this. We don't." Corthus's scales rippled with agitation. "You are outnumbered and outgunned. Your ship is damaged beyond combat capability. This does not have to end in bloodshed. Captain, please be reasonable." "Reasonable?" Dante leaned forward in his chair. "You locked my entire species in a cage for 300 years. You built a wall around our home and told us we were too dangerous to walk among the stars. And now you want me to be reasonable? Your species proved its danger through its actions." Corthus replied, his voice firm. "The wars you started, the weapons you deployed without hesitation, the sheer aggression of human expansion. The Council had no choice but to contain you. We didn't start those wars, Admiral. We finished them. There's a difference." Dante glanced at his tactical display. The Council ships were still charging their weapons, but holding their fire. They were afraid. Good. Fear meant hesitation, and hesitation meant opportunity. "Genesis, what do we have that still works?" The AI's response came through his private neural link, hidden from the rest of the bridge crew. "Captain, I have a proposal that you will find concerning." "I'm listening." "I can initiate Protocol Omega. It was designed for exactly this scenario, a last resort when facing overwhelming odds." Dante's blood ran cold. Protocol Omega was the nightmare scenario the Command had programmed into every Titan-class carrier. It turned the ship into a weapon of such destructive power that using it was considered a war crime by every civilized species in the galaxy. What's the cost? Total reactor destabilization. We would have approximately 8 minutes before catastrophic failure. The explosion would destroy everything within 20,000 kilometers. Dante closed his eyes. "So we die and take them with us. Is that our only option?" "Not our only option, Captain. Our best option given current parameters. I estimate a 97% probability of mission success and a 0% probability of survival." "Yes, Captain." The bridge crew couldn't hear this private conversation, but they knew their captain well enough to read the gravity on his face. Volkova spoke up from engineering, her voice laced with concern. "Sir, whatever you're thinking, maybe we should talk about it first." Before Dante could respond, a new voice cut through the comm channels. It was young, uncertain, but broadcasting on an old Earth frequency that only a human would know. "Eternal Resolve, this is Dr. Sienna Cross of the Council Science Division. I'm human. I was born on Mars before the quarantine. Please, you have to listen to me." The bridge crew exchanged stunned glances. "Another human?" Volkova quickly pulled up the signal source. "It's coming from one of their science vessels, Captain. She's using pre-quarantine military encryption. She knows who we are. Put her through," Dante ordered. "Captain Reeves," Dr. Cross continued, her words tumbling out rapidly. "I sent you a warning 3 minutes ago, but I don't know if you received it. The Council is terrified of you. They're going to destroy your ship, but you need to know something. Earth survived. Humanity survived. We're still alive, still fighting in our own way. We've been waiting 300 years for someone to prove we deserve our place among the stars. Please don't let your last act be one of destruction. Show them we're better than they fear." Dante looked at the faces of his crew. Riker wanted revenge. That much was clear. Sci-Fi just wanted to go home. The others wanted purpose, a reason that their 300 years sacrifice meant something. He thought about Protocol Omega, about taking the Council ships with them in a final blaze of glory. It would be easy. It would be what they expected. And it would prove every single fear the Council had about humanity. "Genesis, cancel Protocol Omega," Dante said aloud, letting his crew hear his decision. "We're not going out like that. Then how do we survive this, Captain?" Riker demanded. 6 dreadnoughts against a half-dead carrier? We can't fight them all. Who said anything about fighting? Dante turned to his communications officer. "Open a channel to all Council vessels. Let every ship in this sector hear what I'm about to say." The channel opened, and Dante stood from his command chair. His uniform was 300 years out of date. His ship was a floating wreck. His crew was outnumbered and outgunned. But he was still a captain of the United Humanity Space Force, and he would not go quietly into the dark. "This is Captain Dante Reeves of the UHSV Eternal Resolve to all Council forces. You believe you have us trapped. You believe your superior numbers guarantee victory. You believe that we are desperate and will lash out like cornered animals. You are correct about only one thing. We are desperate. But desperation makes humans dangerous in ways you cannot imagine." Corthus interrupted, his voice dripping with condescension. "Your threats mean nothing, Captain. We have 6 dreadnoughts. You have a derelict. I'm not threatening you, Admiral. I'm negotiating." Dante smiled. "Here's my offer. You let us go. You provide us with enough supplies to make it back to the Sol system. And in exchange, I promise that we will leave peacefully and never return to Council space." Corthus let out a harsh, grating laugh. "And why would we accept such terms when we can simply destroy you?" "Because," Dante said quietly, his voice carrying across the channel with chilling certainty, "you're not sure you can. You're asking yourself right now how we managed to wake up, how our systems are even functioning, what other surprises we might have waiting for you. You remember the stories about human warships, about how we built redundancies and fail-safes and weapons that activated only in our darkest hour. So ask yourself, Admiral, do you really want to find out what else the Eternal Resolve can do?" The COM channel went silent. On the view screen, Dante could see Corthus conferring with his officers, their expressions unreadable. The Council ships held their formation but did not fire. Seconds stretched into agonizing minutes. Finally, Corthus returned. "If we allow this, if we show mercy, what guarantee do we have that humanity will not use your return as an excuse to break the quarantine?" "You have my word," Dante said simply. "The word of a human?" Corthus sounded skeptical. "The word of a captain who has already lost everything and has nothing left to prove. Admiral, I'm tired. My crew is tired. We just want to go home. Let us leave, and you'll never see us again." Another long, tense pause hung in the air. Then Corthus spoke. "Very well, Captain Reeves, but understand this. If any human vessel leaves the Sol system after you return, the Council will consider it an act of war. We will not be as merciful a second time. Understood?" Dante felt the crushing tension on the bridge ease just slightly. "Genesis. Plot a course for Earth. Best possible speed with our current capabilities." As the Eternal Resolve's engines flickered to life and the ancient ship began its slow, majestic turn toward home, Riker approached Dante's chair. "Captain, how did you know he would let us go?" "I didn't," Dante admitted, watching the stars begin to streak past. "But I knew he was afraid. And sometimes fear is the only leverage you need." The stars streaked past the viewports like ancient memories, each one a reminder of how they had traveled and how much farther they had yet to go. The Eternal Resolve, A titan of a bygone era, limped through the void at a fraction of its designed speed. Every kilometer was a hard-won victory against the damage that should have killed them all. Captain Dante Reeves stood alone in the observation deck, watching the infinite darkness, thinking about home. 300 years. It was a long time to be away. The Earth he remembered might not even exist anymore. The people he loved were dust. The war he fought was ancient history. Yet somehow, impossibly, they were going back. The door behind him opened, and Dr. Sienna Cross stepped inside. She had managed to transfer to the Eternal Resolve just before the Council fleet departed, claiming she needed to document the last human military vessel for scientific purposes. She approached the viewport slowly. "I never thought I would see another human military ship," she said softly. "After the quarantine, we were told the fleet was destroyed, that the Titan carriers were myths, that humanity had been beaten. But you were real all along, just sleeping in the ice." Dante glanced at her. "What happened after we disappeared? How did Earth survive?" Sienna's reflection was ghostly in the reinforced glass. It was hard. The Council blockade was absolute. No ships in, no ships out. They put battle platforms at every jump point, automated to destroy anything that tried to leave. "Sounds like Earth," Dante said with a bitter smile. "We were never good at accepting defeat." "No, we weren't," Sienna agreed. "But eventually we adapted. We turned inward. We focused on our own worlds, our colonies in the Sol system. Mars, Europa, Titan. We built a civilization within our cage. We advanced our technology, not for war, but for survival and growth. And we waited. For what? For someone to prove we could be trusted," she said, her voice quiet but firm. "For someone to show the galaxy that humans were more than the monsters they feared. For you." Dante looked at her sharply. "We're just survivors, Doctor. We didn't do anything heroic. We surrendered and ran home. You negotiated when you could have destroyed." Sienna met his eyes. "I accessed the ship's databases, Captain. I know about Protocol Omega. You had the power to take them with you, to strike one last blow against the species that caged us. But you chose peace. That choice matters more than you realize." The bridge called for Dante, and he left with Sienna's words echoing in his mind. He arrived to find his senior staff gathered around the tactical display. Volkova, his first officer, looked up, her expression troubled. "Captain, we have a problem. Our reactor is degrading faster than projected. At current consumption rates, we'll lose main power in 6 days. How far are we from Earth?" Dante asked. Riker, the navigator, checked his console. 11 days at our current speed. We can't make it." The bridge fell silent. They had come so far, survived so much, only to be threatened by simple mathematics. Dante's mind raced through possibilities. What if we shut down non-essentials? Life support to minimum, weapons offline, everything except propulsion and navigation? Volkova ran the numbers. That buys us maybe 2 more days. Still 3 days short. And we'd be defenseless. Then we don't encounter hostiles, Dante decided. Genesis, is there a route that avoids all known Council patrol zones? "Calculating now, Captain," the AIS voice filled the bridge. "Yes, but it adds 4 days to our journey. We definitely cannot make it that way." Dante paced the bridge, the weight of 4,000 lives pressing down on him. There had to be a solution. There was always a solution. "Captain," Genesis spoke again, "I have a proposal. Listening. We can cannibalize the cryogenic systems. They contain significant power cells designed to function for millennia. If we repurpose them for the main reactor, we gain approximately 8 days of additional power." Dante understood immediately. But it meant giving up their only safety net. "But then we can't put anyone back into cryosleep," he confirmed. "Correct. If we encounter a situation requiring cryogenic suspension, that option will no longer exist. It was a massive risk. Trade their one fail-safe for the power to reach home. Dante looked at his crew, seeing the same fierce determination in their eyes that had carried them through 300 years of frozen darkness. "Do it," he commanded. "Pull every power cell from the cryogenic systems. We're going home, and we're staying awake for the entire journey." Over the next few days, the crew of the Eternal Resolve transformed. They became more than soldiers. They became a family, bound by a shared purpose. Engineering teams worked impossible hours, keeping the old reactor stable. Medical staff tended to those still recovering from long-term suspension. The galley somehow produced meals from supplies 3 centuries past their expiration date. Dante walked the corridors every day, talking to his crew, learning their stories. He met Corporal Hayes, a young gunner who'd left behind a pregnant wife on Mars. He spoke with Dr. Tanaka, a head medical officer who was engaged to be married the week before their final mission. He listened to dozens of stories about lives interrupted, futures stolen, dreams frozen in time. Yet they remained unbroken. They laughed, they argued, they played cards and told jokes that were 300 years out of date. They were human, and they endured. On the 7th day, sensors detected an anomaly. A small vessel was adrift, its distress beacon active. Riker pulled up the ID. "It's a Pelvorian transport, civilian. Looks like they had an engine failure." The crew looked to Dante. Protocol dictated they should ignore it. They barely had enough power for themselves. Stopping would cost them precious time and energy. But Dante thought of Sienna's words about proving humanity deserved its place among the stars. "Bring us alongside. Prepare a rescue team." "Captain, we don't have the resources," Volkova protested. "Then we make do with what we have," Dante said firmly. "We are not leaving sentient beings to die in space. That's not who we are." The Eternal Resolve drew up beside the damaged transport. A team crossed over and found 12 Pelvorian civilians, their oxygen running low. They were brought aboard, given food and medical care, and the engineering team worked for 6 hours to repair their engine. The Pelvorians were terrified at first, ancient fears of human aggression coloring their every reaction. But the crew's kindness slowly broke down those walls. When the transport was ready to depart, their captain, a weathered Pelvorian named Theron, approached Dante. "Why did you help us? We are a council species. Your people and mine were enemies." "Were," Dante emphasized. "That war ended 3 centuries ago. We're just trying to get home, Captain Theron." "Same as you." Theron's 4 eyes studied Dante. "The stories we tell about humans paint you as monsters. But you risked your own survival to save us. I will tell everyone what happened here. I will tell them that humans showed mercy when they had every reason not to." After they departed, Dante returned to the bridge to find a message waiting. It was on an old Earth frequency, weak and distant, but unmistakable. "This is Earth Defense Command to approaching vessel. We have detected your signature. Please identify." Dante's hands shook as he activated the response channel. "This is Captain Dante Reeves of the UHSV Eternal Resolve. We're coming home." The silence that followed seemed to stretch into an eternity. Then a voice came back, thick with emotion. "Eternal Resolve, this is Admiral Catherine Jo of Earth Defense Command. Welcome home, Captain. We've been waiting a long time for you." The bridge erupted in cheers. Crew members embraced, tears streaming down their faces. They had made it. Against all odds, they were home. Dante slumped into his command chair, the iron control he'd maintained for so long finally cracking. Sienna approached him quietly. "You did it, Captain." "You brought them home. We did it together," Dante corrected. "Every person on this ship. That's what humans do, Doctor. We survive together, or not at all." As Earth grew larger in the viewports, a blue and white jewel against the darkness, Dante thought about the journey ahead. They would have questions to answer, a new world to learn. But they would face it together. 4,000 souls given a second chance. The eternal resolve was built for war, but it had become something more. It was a testament to endurance, a monument to the unbreakable human spirit, and a promise that no matter how dark the night, humans would always find their way home. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more tales from the far reaches of space. Until next time.